guys, and welcome back to another episode of Kicked. I'm Amy-Elise Ryder, giving you your weekly journey through the wacky, wild, and wonderful world of gaming on Kickstarter. We've got 3 games to talk about this week, so let's get started. Our first game this week is called After Reset, and it's a post-apocalyptic RPG kind of inspired by Fallout 1 and 2, Baldur's Gate, and Planescape. So if you've liked any of those games, you may want to give this game a quick look at. They're hoping to have a non-linear story focusing on kind of 3 different facets. The facet of your character and their evolving story. You'll be able to have NPCs that will kind of react to your story and that will develop their story in turn. And then finally, the overarching story of the world you're inhabiting. They want to kind of give you a lot of flexibility, so you have the option to create a custom character, which you can pick all the skills out to kind of adjust to what you want to see them be. Or they will have a couple of pre-selected, pre-created characters that you can pull from if you just want to jump into playing right off the bat. They're planning on releasing the prologue this fall, so you'll be able to see that in the near future. And they've actually already successfully completed their Kickstarter in the past. They did a graphic novel that kind of details the world that this game takes place in. So now they're going back to say, hey, we really want to make this game a reality. Can you help us get funded? Basically, the whole premise of the game is some alien artifacts landed on Earth. We had some great leaps and bounds in technology, and then the alien artifacts kind of caused nuclear explosions. So you managed to survive by taking shelter in a fallout shelter, and now you're on your way to take back Earth. So it's a pretty cool premise. I highly recommend you check it out. They have 11 days left to go on their campaign, so if you're interested in helping make After Reset a reality, they've actually already met their campaign goal of $35,000, but their next campaign is going to allow them to kind of dedicate themselves full-time to development, and that's going to be at $100,000. They already have $66,000 in the bank. So if you want to help make this game a reality, maybe help development time go a little smoother, I highly recommend you check them out. Our next game is called Day or Do, and it's basically a kind of hybrid between traditional tabletop board games and video games. It's a real-time strategy, kind of. But basically it's a combat and conquer game that has a variety of different mechanics going on all at the same time, but they try to simplify things through the technology aspect. Up to 4 people can play the game on tablets or smartphones, and your TV shows the overarching game board. The cool thing about this is, because each person has their own independent control unit, aka that tablet or smartphone, you have a lot more secrecy in what you may be trying to execute. Because you only are going to be able to see your own resources, you will know exactly where you stand at any point, but you won't exactly know where the other players stand. This is great because you can kind of, maybe demand ransom for hostages, or have some sneaky attacks going on in the background, and no one else may know that unless they're smart and do it in return. A lot of the combat is done through minigames, which will allow you to kind of counteract different people's moves, and these are all multiplayer games, which means that if you're trying to maybe sneak through an embassy, someone else may be controlling the security cameras or something like that, trying to rat you out. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in this game, and it seems like there'd be a lot of systems, but the cool thing is because the computer is handling everything, it will be able to keep track of whose turn it is, what your moves options are, and things like that, so it's going to kind of narrow down that learning curve that a lot of those more complicated board games generally have. There is a lot going on in this game, like I said, but they have 11 days left to go on the game, and they've only raised $28,000 out of their $350,000 goal. So if you would like to see Day or Do become a reality, if you're interested in seeing something like this come to life, I highly recommend you jump on it in the near future. They are planning to come up on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U, so if you're interested in any of those consoles and you like this type of game idea and you want to see more things like it, I highly recommend you check them out. Our final game this week is K.O.L.M, or kind of like, they won't actually admit what the game is based off of, but you can get a kind of guess from the way this game is played. K.O.L.M is a Flash game that was meant to be a trilogy, but only the first 2 parts were ever created. The developer at the time worked for Armor Games, and that was how the game was released. But since then, he had left the studio before the game was completed. So now he's gone back and said, hey, I really want to complete this game. Do you think you guys will give me the rights to let me do that. So not only is he going to be able to complete the trilogy by making the third part, but he's also remastering the original 2 sections of the game. So it's going to move from a 2D perspective, which it does show in the Kickstarter video, and move to a 3D perspective, which is kind of interesting looking. They've redone the textures and the graphics, so it looks really, really nice now. And from there, they're going to be building not only the first 3 parts of the game, but the Kickstarter is also covering K.O.L.M in a minute, which is a speedrun version which gives you different challenges to complete in a set amount of time. Basically, they have 13 days left to go. They've raised just over £6,000. Their goal is £25,000. So if you'd like to see this game come to life all over again, I highly recommend giving them a look. Well guys, that's all I have for this week, but drop me a comment below if you maybe liked one of the games I discussed this week. Maybe it inspired you to go back at it. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you thought of this week's episode. As always, you can follow me on Twitter if you have maybe a game you'd like to see me cover in a future episode. Shoot me a message at AEBrighter. And you can also follow my friends over at Invisible Gamer. That's the site I work with. They're on Twitter, Facebook, and our site is invisiblegamer.net. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.